Oh no, there's a snake in the grass! Alright guys, so in all seriousness, this is the Nerf Maxx Force Rattler. And continuing in a vintage line that featured predominantly like animal shapes and kind of that sort of geometry to it, we have just a wild blaster, the likes of which you just don't see on the shelves anymore. Ever since Nerf went pretty tactical, or whatever you want to call it, it's no longer just like this kind of spirit of childish fun that the brand used to have. But that's what makes these vintage reviews so much fun, is that we get to take a look at a blaster from way back when, some of you might recognize from your childhoods, and kind of how it worked, how performance has come so very, very far since then, and the overall ergonomics and performance of this blaster. So this was sent in by a viewer specifically so that I could make this review. Before we get into it, it's got kind of a faux snake skin thing going on. You've got the eyes here, some fangs. This is kind of like a rattlesnake's rattle down here. It folds up kind of like this, but also down so that you can actually use the blaster. Now, the internal mechanism rotates through these 4 barrels, so it's kind of like a pre-Smart AR, except there's nothing smart about it. It will just fire the barrels in sequence, and if that one happens to be empty, nothing happens. Now you can see down in here that how this works is as you pull the rattlesnake's tail back, you've engaged this mechanism in here, and as we come all the way back, it releases right there at the apex. When this bump comes back, it kind of releases this catch, and that is that. As you come forward, connects back in, fire, connect, fire. Now, the viewer who sent it was kind enough to send some original old school megas. These are not the same caliber as the new school megas, and not quite the same. Now, there is some slight cross compatibility between them, but that was certainly not intentional. And let's fire the Rattler Maxx Force from 1994. So this one actually predates the crossbow, which is super duper cool. We'll do some standing shots. I guess we'll aim for this tree. And just the wild ergonomics of this are such that you have to kind of hold like this and pull like this, which means that you're kind of cattywampus while using the blaster, and aiming is sort of ridiculous, but let's try. So there we go, solid. It's knocking some of these darts out as it goes. Well, so that's about a 9-foot shot, with the majority of our shots being up here in and around the 15 to maybe 20-foot range, but overall pretty poor performance from the Rattler when comparing it to modern blasters. Now, back in the day, this was fine. It certainly wasn't like stellar in any way, but definitely a respectable vintage blaster. Couldn't keep up with the crossbow for sure, but a lot of fun. I think that it's cool, and I really do love these vintage Maxx Force blasters. Like, I love the Manta Ray. I think the Electric Eel is the absolute coolest, and the Rattler is a fine addition to my vintage collection. So thank you so much to the viewer who sent this over so that I could make this video, and then thank you to you guys for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this. If you'd like to see a modification on this blaster, I think that would be very, very easy. Just leave me a comment in the description box below, and I'll get to it pretty soon. But the workshop is coming along, and as it gets to a point where there's like less just junk on the workbench and more of a streamlined operation, it should be very, very easy to crank out some mod guides for you guys. So thanks for all the support. I hope you enjoyed this video. That's been the vintage Maxx Force Rattler, and what a wild old school blaster.